Hello, and welcome to our sixth installation, our sixth podcast, Fresh Perspectives. My name is Mark Brown. I am a member of the Black Caucus, and I'm happy to have our two special guests with us today. We have Dr. Jashon Banks and Mr. Chris Casey. I didn't forget his last name. Glad to have you both here. I'm going to have you both just kind of introduce yourselves, and whoever would like to go first, just kind of jump in and give us a little background. Tell us how long you've been here and what your role is. And
Awesome. This is Dr. Jashon Banks Sr. I've been here for 4 years. I'm faculty criminal justice, and it's been great making major adjustments accordingly, and got things flowing better here at Green River in our program. So good to be here.
All right, thank you. Welcome.
And hey, my name is Chris Casey the first. I've moved back to Washington back in 2015. So I've been to college for 7 years, a lot of different hats, different positions, had a lot of opportunities here. Currently the labor manager over in HR. So staff need help, do my best to help them.
Okay. All right. Welcome to both of you. And thank you for both being here. This is part of our Father's Day podcast. Wanted to have a chance to talk a little bit about being a dad and raising kids and all that fun stuff. So I want to start out really just conversationally. Let's talk about your background. How were you raised? Where would you grow up? All that fun stuff. Give us a little idea of what life's been like.
Of course. I come from Chicago, Illinois. Grew up in a single family home with my mother. It was 7 of us. I'm number 6 of 7 children. It was a bit difficult, growing up in poverty. As most folks know, the Chicago area is a pretty violent area. So environmental factors played a tremendous role in our upbringing. Seeing a variety of different things from the trauma to even from my own mother. My mother was a bit stern, more than others, unfortunately. And, growing up with a woman, you would expect a little nurture, a little bit of hugs, kisses. Well, that didn't really happen in our household at all. So, growing up, you would expect to get the high fives and attaboys, but that didn't exist. So, always trying to navigate that space of trying not to like anything to trigger her, especially seeing your friends, out there, when we're out there on sports teams and, seeing their parents high-fiving them and hugging them and, the great, great job. And, you would think you would get that from your mom, but you don't. It was a bit traumatizing overall. Still don't know how I made it to where I am today, but it wasn't a pretty sight. And I share that openly because I know there's other folks that come from a similar background as me that didn't get those great moments and memories to share with your mother or your father.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Okay. Chris?
Yeah. I'm from a tiny little town over on Eastern Washington called Titan. Tiny little thing, 1,100 people. And my parents grew up there. They met there and still live there. My father, he built his house on the land of my grandparents. It's always been a Red Delicious apple family. Local growers throughout the years. I think there is that pride in maintaining a farm, working hard for the family, 6 a.m. to, 7 or 8 at night, those kind of days. So it was interesting, as I got older, I was an academic. First gen to go to college. It wasn't as expected, but it was pushed. And so it was, you need to do this. This is where you go after high school. And these are the things that you want to do better than us. But when I did, it was an interesting dynamic because I would return home and work on the farm throughout college, and then finally having that conversation of, it's time for me to move on and you to move on. My father wasn't at an age that he could maintain it by himself, and so selling off the land, and he's retired at this point. But growing up, gosh, I had an older sister. She passed away in 2008, but so the two of us, really small families, not a lot of family interaction. My mom had 4 siblings. My father has 1. And so there's a little bit of family interaction there, but I would say over the years, it just doesn't exist anymore once the grandparents are gone. So I think my focus has been, as I've gotten married, I have my 2 children, of developing those family traditions and I guess our family, what that means for us, and how we want to be a point of, the kids growing up and developing that, because I think it was missed out on. And so when I went academic and I've gone into my career and moved around the country and all those things, I go home, but I came home because of my wife and not because of family. And I go over to see family because of my children. And so there might have been that disconnect, but I think my family is going to be the family that I want it to be. Those traditions, that culture, that love, that space that you can always come back to, that friendship. And so when they turn from children to, adult, then it's someone you trust. And they can come to you for advice, but you treat them more as a friend. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
I want to definitely add on to that because I can really align with what Chris was saying myself, because I don't go home often. I don't see my family like in the same dynamic at all. When I do want to go over there, I do want to take my son over there to, see his cousins and meet his uncles and aunties and things like that. But that family dynamic is not there. And that's why I'm way over here in Washington and not at home in Chicago. And honestly, if it wasn't for my son still being here, like I probably would relocate somewhere else. I'm a transient. I'd have been all over the world. So I definitely can understand that feeling. Like, again, when I go home, it's more like, hey, how you doing? Everybody's good. And I'm like, okay, where's the exit so I can go? Because it's just not family friendly in my eyes, but it's more for my son. So I can definitely align with that.
So when you think about that part of and you've kind of shared a little bit about this already, but when you think about that dynamic, which you have a similarity in terms of that connection, or I don't know, would you call it a disconnect maybe to some degree? Or how would you look at that when you think about how you see your relationship with your family and what you're trying to instill now? Does that make sense to you? And
Yeah, because I think growing up, that's how you showed love, was by working hard. When we came out of the orchards, food was ready. And that's how my grandmother and my mother would show that they loved us, and you ate it all because you loved them, and you never, no matter what it was, you ate it.
Right.
And I think that's just, you look someone in the eye, you shake their hand. When you say it, you do it. And you don't put it down, you put it away. All those kinds of things of maintaining the home, maintaining the family. You show it by love. Like, you show your love by work. And that part is still there, absolutely, within me. It's just not having the other types of reinforcement of hugs and kisses and support and telling your kids you're proud of them. Every single night, I tell both my kids, I love them, I'm proud of them, and they are my best friends. Okay. And it's been like, that's our nightly ritual of things. And, as we read a book, and they both repeat it back, and I never asked them to, but yeah, we have to do that, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
That's a very interesting way how you say showing love, how they did with the family taking care of each other. Like, I was really sitting here thinking like, well, how did we show love? And it wasn't any love. It was more like survival. It was just flat out survival amongst everyone, because everybody kind of took their own way. Like I said, I'm the academic out of my entire family, and everyone else is still living in survival mode. But the that piece of my life doesn't exist with my son. My son will never see that type of environment under my care because of the trauma that I went through and the different things I went through. So again, I do use those big reinforcements every day. Is I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm always just giving those fine words that I never received: hugs, kisses, high fives, the attaboy. So to keep him, humble, but also just keeps him driving. It's so great to see him smile and always excited to do different activities. So like, I literally disconnected that entire life away from him because I don't want him to experience that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Are there, yeah, go ahead.
And maybe that's something that I did, when I'm thinking about it, of is this how I view it and describe it? Because it's never been a topic of conversation within the family of work is love kind of thing. But I think that's how I've developed it over the years, so that I can look back and view it as I'm where I am because of that work. And maybe that handshake and look somebody in the eye, appreciate the work that someone did, and maybe giving it more credence or explanation in my head makes me feel better. It allows me to process it through so that I can at least understand it, and I can move on and be happy with how it was. If it was difficult, it was, but here's how I think about it. So, not a conversation, but maybe how I purposely.
Of course.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about things that you share with your children, because now, Chris, you have Gwen, who's adorable. She's 7, and Calvin is turning 4 or just turned 4?
Turn 4.
Turned
In
4
April, yeah.
already. And then Jashon Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
you said he looks just like you.
My twin.
Okay. He's 6.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about how do you, the world is crazy right now. Let's just face it. People are crazy.
Mhm.
Everything is just off the rails. Without going into any more details than that, what kind of conversations do you have? Or when do you start having those conversations about race? Or do you? Do you have those conversations? What do they look like for you? Being parents and all the things, and we have to understand too, I think kids see a lot more than what we think they see. And or they experience things more than what we might think they experience out in the world. So how do you have those conversations, or are you having those conversations?
Yes. I must have that conversation as a
Okay.
young Black American male. As a child, since he was young, all his books, we have books, based on young Black boys because we want to appreciate the skin that he's in. So we always that's the one thing we always preach to my son is that love who you are, love your skin, love what you represent. Um, and also, since now that he's in kindergarten and going to first grade, I definitely have to have that conversation because, as a researcher of the school of prison pipeline, that is something that happens often to primarily Black or African American boys, as in behavior is taken in a variety of different capacities, which can turn into criminality. So again, at his age right now, the kids on the playground, they don't really look at race, but it's still being talked about in curriculum, and their curiosity is still there. Like, why your skin is darker than mine, but it's not in a malicious manner. It's more just like, just you're different. So with my son, I definitely got to have that conversation with him slowly. It's not like just dropping everything on him, but just help making him understand that your behavior could trigger other offsetting things on other people because the lack of understanding of culture, or the lack of understanding that you may be hungry and you just don't know how to express it, or even in many cases that I wish that wouldn't happen is that children being touched at home and they just don't, and they explain it and how they utilize or how they use their spaces through behavior. They just don't know how to say it because they may be afraid. So I know that's a little further, but I have to sit and have like these variety of different conversations with my son, as in, how was school? Did anything happen that I need to know about? Is it anyone that, if something's going on, who should I go and talk to? Because I want him to be able to express himself to me. I don't want him to act out. I prefer him to be able to speak to me. So I definitely give him his space to speak, which something I didn't have. And I'm sure many other people of color, especially Black, even if you're trying to express your feelings to your parents, they take that as there was talk back or you're saying something disrespectful when you're just trying to express your own feelings. So I give him that space to allow to talk about it. So if he's curious about race, he's curious about sexual orientation, gender, things like that, I allow him to let him talk so see what he knows about it. And then I keep it at his level where we talk about just differences biologically when it comes to boys and girls and things like that. So it is a conversation all over. It's not just the race part, because now as he's in school, he's seeing all these different things. So.
Right. Okay. Chris.
And I haven't. I haven't in the idea of race in particular. And so Calvin's still at an age where everybody's great, loves everything. His characters that he likes, doesn't matter. He just loves everything. And so Gwen, I think she's definitely asking when something is an other or it's different. Generally within like a supermarket or where there's a lot of people, she'll notice someone in a wheelchair or an eye patch or a cane. Grandpa has a cane or granddad has a cane. Otherwise, at least within my social group, my best friend is Mexican. And so she's used to seeing people of a slightly darker skin tone, hearing different languages. Her best friend has 2 dads. And there was an original conversation, I'd say a couple of years ago. And she asked where mom was. And we said, no, 2 dads. And she's like, oh, that's different or weird. Or I don't remember what she said. And we're like, yeah, 2 dads. That's great. And then ever since, it's been great. Like all she needed was, just a confirmation of it. It was different than what I'm experiencing. But the race piece has been not necessarily a point of conversation, but when they notice a difference. And the reason why I bring up kind of my social group is that as skin tones get darker, then I think that's when she noticed it was different. And Mark, I told you I was going to tell this story.
Yeah.
So I really hope people out there listening to this have had this kind of thing. But as I've talked to white parents, there's an original story of a child interacting with a Black person. And my sister had hers. I remember my parents talking about it. My dad's best friend was Black. But the first time that she interacted or kind of started to realize that it was different, was trying to clean him. My daughter was in a grocery store and she noticed. And so the woman approached her, oh, your daughter's so cute, all those kind of things. Generally, older women will talk to my kids and tell them they're cute. But then she noticed that she's Black. And it was the hair, the skin tone, why is this? And the woman was incredibly gracious. But I've talked to other white parents that nearly everybody has that interaction. It doesn't tend to be any other member of the BIPOC community, but there is a automatic, I don't want to say reaction. There's an automatic kind of like wonderment, maybe. Yeah, and we've talked about it of at what point does the difference become noticeable? Yeah. And so but I at least, that there's that privilege there of my children and having examples within media, social media, TV shows, all those kind of things. They're well represented. History in schools is, we don't have to. We don't have to. We just don't have those conversations because the kids aren't experiencing something that they need to understand. So a little bit different, probably vastly different. But
I mean, it's a conversation I have because he asked questions. He asked these questions, be like, such as like, like his mother is fairer skinned than I am. He's my complexion, so going around throughout the areas of people who I know, different places I go when I do my business, he just asks and not in a negative way, but it's just he has to know, especially now in school, which was always a concern pretty much for many Black parents because again, systematically, I mean, the system still has its barriers in place, believe it or not, as a researcher of, again, the school of prison pipeline. um, it's I just want to make sure that he is not necessarily aware at this moment. Like I say, I got to take it steps down just to ask him these questions to make sure that he hasn't a good day. And then the days he has a bad day, I just want to try to figure out what was bad about it and what was it that triggered him and made him feel some type of way. Because again, maybe, I don't know, maybe another kid said something that wasn't nice about his skin or his hair or the way he looked or whatever it be. And I just want to, again, walk them through that, not to use it as anger, but to understand that, yeah, it's okay to be different and, and go about the proper precautions to not look like the stereotypical angry little boy or black boy or things like that. It's just, we, believe it or not, just got to have those conversations. And I believe it or not, as he get older, I have to have that conversation when I'm even dealing with law enforcement. So it's literally have to. And it's not like, some people like to downplay it that's never even had this type of interaction. But even though I didn't have a father present, my mentors or my football coaches as a kid had these conversations with me as a kid, the same type of conversations in school and also even out in the community, when you're dealing with law enforcement and things like that. Not saying that my son is going to deal with that, because again, I'm not going to allow that to happen. But me growing up in the area I did, law enforcement was always present, and you had to know how to interact with them. Otherwise, it can be a really bad thing happening there for you as a child, as a kid.
So so I hear, both of you are sharing experiences of how you, kind of navigate those questions, and whether, I don't know, sometimes they're not always questions. Your oldest, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, because I think, the vastly different experiences. Mine is exploratory, of
Yeah.
discovering the world, and it's it's wonderment, and it's great, it's interaction,
Right.
it's fun, it's learning new people. Jashon, it's necessity,
Mhm.
and protection.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And we have to recognize it. To me, they're vastly different conversations.
Mhm.
You might be talking kind of around the same things, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they're vastly different, and it's kind of sad. I must say it's sad when you think about it, that when you think about Black children growing up, they don't have a lot of times the ability to have that wonderment,
Mhm.
to be curious. They can early on,
Mhm.
but then it changes as
Mhm.
they get older. And when you think about your children, now think about your kids. I know you probably don't want to think about them getting older. You want them to be little
Mhm.
and young
Mhm.
forever.
Mhm.
Um, but think about, as they get older, that conversation probably will change to
Mhm.
some degree. And it might change. And how do you think it would change? I mean, I can understand
Mhm.
how it might change for you, Jashon, but how do you think it would change for you, Chris? And I want you both to
Mhm.
share how you think that conversation might change, or does it change? Does it stay the same as your children get older?
Yeah. It, my hometown, my home community, it was the Highland School District, and there were no African Americans living in that area of the, um, and so it was essentially white and Hispanic, and the majority of everyone that I knew was directly from Mexico. There wasn't really any representation of anywhere else within South America or Central America. But elementary school, no problem. Middle school, I think we still held on as boys playing out on the field, or jumping over the fence to go to Rafa's house because he had a trampoline and he lived right next door to the school. But you certainly started to see it when we went into high school, and so those societal pressures, people started to go off into maybe not what felt comfortable, but I'm not bilingual, and so I could see, some of my friends kind of grouping up over here and some grouping up over here. A lot of times it was based on interest, but to me, the conversation with my kids is going to be when it starts to really affect you. Not only have you become aware of it, but you're starting to see that people are wanting to feel safe and secure, and to be with someone that's that builds that community. And sometimes we're drawn in community to feel safe by those that look like us, talk like us, act like us, same interests as us. And high school is a vicious place, and it's going to be where I think from my perspective as my parent, or as a parent with my kids, of you're going to have these interactions, and you're going to want to look at the value of the person, but be aware that not everyone looks at the inside of the person. There's going to be a lot of pressure or a lot of perspective of who you date, who you hang out with, what you do at night, and how you dress. All those kinds of things play into it. And you want to keep your kids safe, and you want them to look out for those that they find value in, people that treat them well. It makes me feel terrible to even say it like that. The idea that it's the perception of relationships, that when you step into a different culture as it's being developed, as it's more of an adult arena, you're going to be looked at of, why are you coming to this space? Are you welcome within this space? Is it appropriate for you to be here? But also the associations of that person went into that space. And, stereotypes exist, and yeah.
Kind of similar. I think, the problem's pretty much junior high school for myself, where I'm from, and high school was just like a landmine with bombs everywhere. Like, you just didn't know what was going to happen in it. My high school was it was like 90% black. So, you seen maybe a couple whites over here, maybe an Asian or two over there, and, a few, probably more Latinx than anything, but it was black. So my cultural, shocker was college. Believe it or not, I went to a 90% white college, and I was like, I don't think I belong here because I'm not rich, and no one looks like me. But going over thinking about my son in high school, I was sitting here really just taking a moment, and I said, you know what? His high school experience is not going to be anything like mine. He has social media. The world is smaller compared to when I was in high school. The stereotypes some of them may still be there, but it's totally different than what we encounter as when we were in high school. Some of those things which we called normal from, all different walks of life. And I'm just like, I have to adapt and literally understand that the social construction of what it would look like for him, I got to be able to navigate that space because it's going to look totally different. And I just don't know. I'm just really sitting here like, what could I say? Because I don't know what that looks like at this moment for him. And, his thought process, I kind of see his development, how he is. He's a very charming and love to have fun right now. And I'm like, maybe in 2 years, he may start having that moment of change and things like that. So the goal is to have him more cultured than I was. I didn't get on my first plane ride until I was in college, my junior year in college for a football game. He's been on a plane when he was a baby. So again, those dynamics are totally different. So I want to make sure that is that is different. But as time go on, when you speak in high school, I'm literally, as I sit here and listen to Chris, I'm just like, well, I don't know how that's going to look because I know his experience is not going to be the same as mine. Again, those typical things that happen in high school, it's not happening now. And I'm speaking as an uncle who has an uncle and a great uncle. I have a great nephew going to the high school next year. And I currently have a nephew and another niece going to the high school. And their social dynamics are totally different. And because the world is smaller, what I mean by that, everyone has a computer device in their hand and access to everything at their palm. So honestly, we didn't have that. So we had to socialize amongst each other face to face. They don't really do that now as much. So I'm like, I wonder how that's going to look. So I know it's I hope I answered the question in there, but it's really trying to think about those social dynamics.
Yeah, so think about social media. I mean, kids, I remember my nephew, he wasn't given a cell phone. My sister was like, oh, no, you're not getting a cell phone till you'll be lucky if you get one when you're a junior in college.
Right.
She did. My mother had to push that one.
Mhm.
That's what grandparents do, right? I think he got it probably he was in high school, so he
Mhm.
did get a cell phone. But how do you think you will handle social media? I mean, you bring that up. I mean, social media is crazy too. I mean, I know the kids nowadays, I'm going to call them kids, they don't do Facebook. It's all Instagram, and
Mhm.
some of them are floating away from that, and
Mhm.
Snapchat now.
Mhm.
And so, what do you think? How do you think you would handle social media as parents? Um, they're, I'm sure at this age, 7 and 6, they've got friends who already have cell phones.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
thinking, I'm not sure. Chris, I can see your eyes are your mind is spinning. You're like, I think you're probably right.
No,
How do you think you're going to handle that?
because I'm terrified of it.
I agree.
Yeah, because it's unfettered vicious. It can be just viciousness because there's no control. If you're having a direct conversation with somebody over text, there's no teacher that might overhear it. There's no parent that's going to be
Exactly.
around the room. It's just going to be a direct connection. And yeah, it terrifies me in the idea like it could be, there's some media stories and news stories and things where it can be worse.
Mhm.
And I do have friends that have we had kids later in our lives. Friends that have kids that are a little bit older, and the best advice, or that they always say is their best advice, is to hold off on cell phones as long as you can. Just don't even allow them to have it, because they will have social media and the idea that they have a laptop or computer that they need for school,
Right.
and they'll be on there. But if they don't have it when they're at home, then you keep them connected to the family unit, though you can talk to them, walk it through, be aware of things. They're not in there after hours, staying up late, getting involved in some of the negative conversations that they could, especially expectations of young women on social media and kind of, men as they get a little bit older in the high school arena, and what that can look like, and really just kind of hold off. Because your heart lives outside your body when you have kids. And
Mhm.
I'm just terrified of what social media could mean
Oh yeah.
to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree the being terrified. But I'm definitely as I tell my son, I always be honest with him,
Mhm.
and I think he's gonna have a hard time with dad as a in law enforcement, former military. It's gonna be a little harder for him to do stuff. But I definitely uh, as he get older, and again, hold off on the phone. But one nice device we have now is the Apple Watch, which you can have, where he can, if he needs me, he can dial from that and call, but he won't be able to get on the websites and things
Okay.
like that from
Okay.
the watch, which it's hard to navigate a small screen like that on there. But you can still have access to get a hold of me. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying at the age he is now, maybe at the age of 10, 12, where he may be like, well, all my friends have a cell phone. I'm like, well, you have an Apple Watch, and that's all you need to call me or your mother, and that's it. But again, directing away from that, he does has his own tablet, but he doesn't get on there. He plays this little Minecraft, but he doesn't get on those websites because he don't know about them. And that's not something that when I'm with him, he don't see me on social media and things like that. He usually sit and come and grade with me, honestly. It is. It's just you're a little bit terrified because it's going to be pressures on him, as in what he's encountering in school, and what like his daughter's encounters. Like, well, how you not on social media? And it's those little, I don't want to say groups, little cliques, little
The peer pressure.
the peer
of those,
pressure. Like
yeah,
you should be
yeah.
on this, and you don't even know what's going on, and that's when the curiosity starts. So that's why I was with Chris. Like I'm a little terrified because I'm like, how I got to figure out a tactical way to approach this and keep him like this is not what you need at this moment, and go from there. So it is going to be a hard road to like navigate.
Yeah. Chris.
I was gonna say, I'm really thankful that my kids are where they are right now. To date everybody in the room, on Saturday she's going to go to Target and get her own Tamagotchi,
Mm-hmm.
the little digital pet.
I remember those.
So she doesn't want a cell phone yet. Oh, I'm so thankful, because there's another little girl in her class that has a Tamagotchi, and so she's getting her own this weekend.
What is a Tamagotchi? You got it. Okay.
It's
You got to school me
Yeah.
on this because I don't know what a Tamagotchi is.
Yeah. No, it's a little keychain that's got a digital pet. And you have to feed it every day, water it, let it sleep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was very
Okay.
popular when I was a kid.
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
in the
oh,
90s.
They were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh, I'm way old. Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm old. That's okay.
Just a couple of years. No, it's
Okay. All right.
But being thankful that's where the social
Yeah.
pressure is right now is Tamagotchi. I'm like, I could take that.
You could
take
At
that.
least it's not
Let's
the
like
iPhone
anything above
14
that.
or like something.
That's why I say he got the little Kindle and he plays Minecraft on there.
Right.
That's it. Like
Right.
he can't
Okay.
access anything else.
All right.
Good.
Okay.
And it locks on him after a certain time. So
Oh,
yeah, you
nice.
can set a timer on there where it just locks. So now it stops him from playing.
Okay. So it keeps him from.
Yeah, it'd say like
Being up at
nighttime.
midnight,
Yeah,
like-
no, he can't. Nope, can't access it.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. So I just learned something new, Tamagotchis.
Mhm.
Now there's going to be a run on those for everybody. And we'll owe it to the two of you.
Mhm.
So as we continue kind of this conversation and talk a little bit more, what are some of the things that, and you've kind of shared this already, but maybe we can expand on it a little bit more. What are some of the things from your family backgrounds that you are very positive that you don't want to repeat going forward in terms of raising your kids? And you both have kind of touched on it, but if you can share a little bit more about what are those things that you really are not wanting to repeat and things that you would like to see differently as you continue to. And this is leading us to what is your family legacy? What are the things that you want your family to aspire to going forward? But let's start with what are some of the things you don't want to repeat? I kind of gave you
Yeah.
too much there, didn't I?
No. My grandfather was from Arkansas and moved to Washington and was able to, work on the family farm and build that over the years. What's a way to say it? That, everyone used to have the uncle. And sometimes it's your dad or your grandpa. And there's things of, especially from his generation, if you're not white, you're wrong.
Mm.
And man, it's one of the things of, I'm glad and I'm happy that my kids won't have that exposure to things. And, interactions with grandparents at this point, it's a little bit, it's been more pervasive in the last 5 or 6 years of attitudes there and kind of redrumming up, what my father and my wife's father grew up in and the kind of the legacy of that. And we've had that conversation with my parents of when the kids are over, there's no politics, there's no discussion because generally it will lead into something based on race. Yeah. And it's not ever going to be a part of the conversation that my kids overhear. And they're starting from where I'm at. They get to see their friends. They get to see everyone at school. They get to see who I'm interacting with, how I'm interacting with people. I want them to start fresh so that legacy piece stops. And, I'm really only back in Washington State because of the family that I wanted to build with Esther. And just everything about that is that our family is starting ideally as best we can from that, 0 point origin, fresh start.
Wow.
And
Oh no, I appreciate that. I nothing. This is a whole new thing. I will not want my son to no. So I won't take anything, and that's why I'm so far away.
Yeah.
So that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah. How challenging is that though? When you think about, I mean, we all have backgrounds. We all have, we have family baggage that we all have in some way, shape, or form. I know my family got all kinds of baggage. But how challenging is that to make that shift? I mean, do you feel it's challenging or is it just, I mean, you've got family back in Chicago who I'm sure would like to spend more time with both you and your son. You spent your family is just over the mountain, so to speak.
Very, very close.
Because I think Titan's right outside Yakima. Is that correct? Yeah.
Right outside.
Yeah. So, so do you find it challenging at all to like change that narrative to I mean, I
No.
No, not
No.
really. No,
right, no.
because say we go over once every couple of months. That's going to be for 2 days ish.
Yeah.
Very little exposure to kind of extended family outside of that, and we only have it within the nuclear family. That conversation around it. Sometimes refresh that conversation and things, but that exposure, and so. No, I don't think it's really a challenge at all. The kids are spending 99.9% of their time not only listening to what we say, but watching what we do and how we interact with people when we're around. And I've started, at least from in my head, a simpler way of like, don't put it down, put it away. Always be of service. So you're always kind to people, regardless of who it is. If someone's having a bad day, you say that you recognize that you have a bad day too. Sometimes, we're in our emotional state, and you still want to treat that person that they have respect as a person. They have that intrinsic soul or that value within themselves that, and then we're going to help them the best way that we can as a stranger or someone, to aid them in whatever they need. And then we move on because we deserve to also be treated with respect. So I think my focus has been on not only what I say and reinforcing that message, and if they hear it enough, they start to ingrain it. But certainly, they're going to be watching us.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that. But as I sat and thinking while he was speaking, I'm just like, my son won't know. Whatever happened, the legacy ends with me. And his legacy, when it goes on, is going to be brand new. And I say this, and this may be a little deep, but like I say, as I told my son all the time, I say, well, your last name is Banks, and I told him where it came from. And the sad part about it is his grandfather, my father, I tried to explain to him that your name lives on, and you have grandkids, and you want nothing to do with me, your other kids, your sons, or your grandkids. So that's why I say I won't take anything along, even from with my mom and all that. It was just nothing but trauma, violence, and he doesn't need that. So it stops with me, and I'm reverting everything. So one day, as he have children and things like that, he'd say it's, from my dad, and that's it. He don't have to worry about the other pieces that was there. Because, it was a bit hurtful when you had to tell your own father something like that, and he still don't realize, like, anything about that. He has grandchildren, or you have children, and you just, like, oblivious to everything.
Yeah.
Like, your name lives on, and you don't even understand that. So, your bloodline. So, it has stopped with me. All that will stay with me, but Jashon Jr. would go forward with a whole different concept on life and won't have to deal with what his father dealt with.
Yeah. There are so many similarities when I hear the two of you. There are so many similarities between your backgrounds in a way, just in the sense that, there are things that you don't want to move forward. Chris and Jashon, you both are looking at what I see as a brighter future for your kids, and trying to bring something of positive influence to your kids, and not bringing some of that, I don't know what the word I want to use, some of the baggage that comes along with that. Let's shift gears. Let's shift gears just a little bit. You played football, I believe, in college or in high school?
High school, college.
College. You just played, I think. Chris,
No, I played tennis.
You played tennis?
Yeah.
Okay.
I always wanted to play tennis.
I like tennis. I don't have anybody to play tennis with, so I got to work on that one. Let's talk a little bit about sports. What do you think you'll encourage your kids to do? You want to get them involved in things. What do you think you'd want to do?
My son is already in sports.
He is. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
He doing something I didn't get to learn, swimming. So he just finished swimming.
Good.
He's in soccer, and he's in flag football. I know he told me he want to play baseball too, because Daddy played baseball in high school and college too. So he's like, I want to play baseball too. So I'm like, we can do everything, but just letting him choose. So one thing that stigma, and I say that because people seeing that I was such a great athlete as a football player and everything I'd done and accomplishments, everyone is expecting me to put that on my son, saying, oh, he's going to play football. And I said, no, he plays what he want to play. If he wants to play sports, that's his choice. That's his life. I don't want to live my dream through my son.
Right.
What happened to me, but it's his choice. So if you want to play baseball, you want to play soccer, he want to play tennis, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm here to support in that whatever capacity you want me in, but I'm not going to force that on him.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the, culturally, I think that's one of the things. Like my dad ran track and played basketball, and I did play basketball. I tried. I wasn't that good. I wasn't good at it. I'm just like, I'm uncoordinated. I realized I'm kind of clumsy. Watch me walk sometimes. I trip all the time. It's not even funny. Chris, what do you think? What's Gwen going to do? What do you think Quinn and Calvin will do?
Sure. Yeah. Because they ask stories, and both kids are very interested in our histories and things. So I was a Boy Scout growing up. I played soccer for about 13 years. I did a couple of years of basketball, played baseball. The only sport I was actually ever good at was tennis. So I played that throughout high school. My sister hated that because I led her my freshman year, so I was on the team with her. And then I ran cross country. I was USB's president in high school, and then student government in college, built sets for drama. I was involved in literally everything.
Wow.
But the school's very small. It's not hard
to
it wasn't hard. So the kids know all of that. And so Gwen is now in Girl Scouts. I was in Boy Scouts. My sister was in Campfire. So she wanted to go join Girl Scouts. So she's doing that. She's just about to bridge to be a Brownie.
Okay.
To continue that.
Okay.
Calvin now is talking about Boy Scouts. He hasn't had really an interest in anything. So him and I played basketball the other day, which is where he takes an orange, kind of like a kickball, and he throws it at me. And then he runs away, and I throw it at him and hit him in the back, and then he'll pick it back up and throw it at me. So that's how we play basketball.
That's a family form of dodgeball.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Gwen, I think, is we're wanting to do, and through the Y, she's gone through swimming, gymnastics, and just trying to see where she lands of things. She's talked about wanting to play guitar. We have one. She's yet to pick it up. She knows everything that I did. She knows everything that my sister played basketball. My dad played basketball. So they're very much more sports oriented than I was. I'm excited to see where she's at. Another little story is she has auditions for the talent show coming up. Her audition tonight is she's going to go on stage and draw and color a picture of a cat and a dog. She's going to draw it on stage. And we're like, my wife and I were like, we've never seen someone just go up there and draw. But that's where she likes to draw. That's her talent. So she's very excited about showing her talent. And I'm encouraging. Esther's a little bit more hesitant, but I'm like, that's her talent.
That's her talent.
Absolutely go up there. If they want to cut you, we'll yell. That's your talent, right? But at least exploration of things. Yeah, excited to see where they go. And me too. Whatever they want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely whatever.
Great. So we're going to wrap up here. Any final words that you can share with parents out there raising kids, raising a Black child, Black children, raising white children, or just raising children? My gosh.
Definitely.
The world is crazy.
It is. As we, go forward with, again, the world is changing, even the color of it. Definitely I can speak on just, from being a Black father, even just talking about being a parent, period. Give yourself grace too as a parent. Everything is not going to be perfect. Every situation is not going to always have the ideal outcome, whatever that looks like. Speaking as a Black father and coming from a Black household, I would say definitely give your children a voice. Allow them to speak their feelings. Regardless of what it is, don't take everything as disrespect. They have feelings too. They're a person. So I speak that because I was always silenced or always, beat down for just trying to speak my own understanding. And that's something I definitely allow my son. Is always give him some space to have his emotional times, speak about why he's upset about whatever he's upset about. But also, we make time for things that we want to do. Make time for your children for whatever it is that they want to do. Don't just stick them in sports. They may not want to do sports. Maybe they just want to sit and draw. And sometimes they want to go and learn how to do different projects. So I just definitely want to also give parents the grace. Give yourself grace. You ain't gonna be able to make everything. You won't ever, everything. Everybody won't be happy all the time. But in your children's eyes, you are their hero, the superstar of everything. And that's fathers, that's mothers, and alike. So I think that's something I can give out based off of just my experience being a father for 6 years, and there every step of the way. I literally make sure that what I went through as a child, and I'm making sure that it doesn't happen to him, giving him everything that I did not receive. And that's not like saying on a silver platter. It's
Right.
just like giving him the teachings of why I'm doing what I'm doing without him knowing what I went through.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think one of the best things is to see them grow up and develop into that little personality. I was fine with babies, but I loved it when they turned 2 and 3 and started to become who they were. And just the biggest cheerleader, because all they want is your time. They don't need your money or your toys, or they just need your time.
Yeah.
And don't be embarrassed. I think they're going to notice and they're going to have awkward conversations because they don't know that they shouldn't yet. And they're going to explore things. And generally, strangers will be receptive to it. Or as you walk them through, you speak to them plainly, and they'll understand it. We don't use nicknames for things in our house, when we're talking about bathroom things, or like everything is very plain of what it is, and that's what it is. But I think if we invest into them as a cheerleader, as that support, as somebody that believes in them, they're going to hear it, and they're going to hear it over and over and over again, and they're going to watch how we treat other people. And so they're just going to, if I had my way, they're both going to develop into these amazing adults that, take over the world and lead this charge of that everybody has value. Everyone should be around the table, all ideas, bring it all together and invest in the people that invest their time in you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the kids at school that drag you down or cause a fight, or, invest in the friends that really invest in you, and you find value there.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Well, I want to thank both of you. Chris, I thank you. I have gotten to know you a lot since we worked together. So I just appreciate you, and just know that you are. I've seen you with your kids, and they're amazing. And I know that you're working hard to make a change. So I appreciate that. And just glad to have you as a colleague. Dr. Banks, I think I used to tease you and say, I call you Dr. Mister. Dr. Mr. Banks. You are an amazing faculty member. You're amazing on this campus. Your voice is important. And I just want to thank you. Keep, we got your back. We got your backs, both of you. We got your backs. Keep pushing. We have a lot of work to do on our campus, and as parents, I applaud you because I know it's not easy. I am an uncle to. I still call them kids. I think my oldest is 52. I think she's 52. That's my niece, And then I have, then they just go down the line. The youngest are same age, about going to be 35 this year. I worry about them every single day. And to me, they're still my kids. Basically, those are my kids. So, I have a stepdaughter who's doing pretty good on her own, but I think about her every day too. So, because it's tough out there. So I just want to let you know that I appreciate you. Amanda's not here, everybody. I hope you miss Amanda on this one. Amanda's not on this one. We will be back together on our next podcast where we talk about sundown towns in the state of Washington. And there are plenty of them. So look forward to that podcast. That'll be coming out, I believe, in July. And I just want to thank you both. I'm going to wish you a happy Father's Day. And just thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.